That's precisely what all three of us
No,
are.
no.
Whoa, I'm not a weeb.
Yeah, you
not-
are.
No, you forget that there is a state in the Union that actually practices social distancing long before coronavirus even happened.
Hawaii.
No, Wyoming.
Oh, no one.
You ever been to Wyoming? Every house is like 50 miles away.
Well, no one lives there.
No,
Well,
I
that's the
think you're
point.
also.
It's so sparsely populated in Wyoming that social distancing isn't just something you do for coronavirus. No, it's a way of life.
Dick
I
shape.
thought that was New Jersey.
No.
Ew, no.
That's like the most densely packed state in the union. Are you serious? No.
Well, I mean, between each live person, there's usually one dead body, so there's at least 6 feet there.
Ooh,
Oh.
okay. Don't talk about Jimmy Hoffa like that, all right? Rest in peace, Jimmy. We're gonna
Rest in peace, Jimmy.
soon.
This episode of Furry Frequencies is brought to you by West Virginia. I'm gonna tell you what, man. We've been around since 1863 when we seceded from them fucking assholes over there to the east. Them damn whatchamacallits that they lived in there. And I'm gonna tell you what, this is a pretty fucking state. We got the mountains, we got the hillbillies, we got the inbreds. I tell you, the average household income is a fair $40,000. Now that's something you can live with, and we're proud to be the 50th poorest state in the union. Wait a minute, that's a lot more states than I remember. West Virginia, we'll see you over here. Bring your cousins too.
Hello and welcome to Furry Frequencies, the soundtrack to your furry life. I'm Lifty, and joining me on the podcast tonight is Sawaks
Hey, what's up?
and IBM.
Get fucked.
Wonderful. So on tonight's podcast, we have reached the end game when it comes to conventions here in America, thanks to coronavirus, and we're going to be talking about the current state of conventions for 2020 and slightly into 2021 in just a bit. But first, we're going to start out with a convention that's actually starting out in 2022 because people have been yapping about it on and on and on forever since the first week came out. And
Is it the Austin Burlesque Furry Con?
no,
Oh,
it's actually Harvest Moon Howfest. They released some new and very important details recently regarding the dates and the place that it will be taking place. Harvest Moon Howfest will be having its first year October 20th through the 24th, 2022 at Camp Ramblewood in Darlington, Maryland.
wow, 4 days. That's ambitious for a first-year convention. 4 days, guys.
Yeah, do you remember the last 4-day convention that started out with 4 days?
You smacked your lips.
I do not. Fuck you.
I
do
heard it.
not.
I heard it.
No, you did. I do not.
You smacked your lips.
Oh, you don't?
No, because the
start-
convention you're talking about was only 3 days. It wasn't
No,
really-
no, it was 4. It was 4.
What the?
It was built for 4 days, and it happened in Harrisburg. And whatever happened to that convention? You know?
I think the convention just went away.
Let's
Uh-huh.
go.
Sure did. So anyway, going back to Harvest Moon Howfest, they finally released some very pertinent details about the place that it's taking place and also the dates. Of course, that did not quell any of the hype. Of course, it built up a lot more hype afterwards. But of course, so many people that have been hyping to come to this convention are finally looking at the place and saying, oh, because it's Darlington, Maryland. If you've never heard about Darlington, Maryland, you are not alone.
Now, I've heard of
It is-
Darlington, South Carolina. That's where the national.
I have too. Darlington, Maryland is like this tiny, tiny, insignificant little dot in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of what I call Merrill Tucky.
Mary. Okay.
Merrill Tucky, yeah. I mean, this is like the middle of the hills for Maryland. It's only like a stone's throw from Pennsylvania and Pennsylvania there. But yeah, if you've never heard of Darlington, Maryland, you're not alone because it's a insignificant, tiny little hamlet in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
However, Camp Ramblewood is known for being a very unique kind of campground. And this is one that I believe is best suited for large events like this because they have an amphitheater and a dance hall and several cabins for people to stay in. And it is not really like any other campground that I've seen, or it's not like your typical campground. So what I'm thinking is that while everybody was guessing on where in Maryland this would be hosted or when it would be hosted, I believe that well before the first tweet dropped, they already had this in the bag. Like this was already set in stone. Then they made their tweet. Then slowly but surely they wanted to build up hype and just giving out little nibbles of information to continue that hype train, just keeping people in suspense for the big reveal.
See, I disagree with that. I think that what happened was so let's be honest. I don't think if Black Lives Matter happened and all this happened, this convention would even be a thing. This convention arose out of the outrage in this country regarding the death of George Floyd. And so because of that, you had the Black Lives Matter protests and all that, and it reached the furry fandom. And you had this whole idea that in the furry fandom,
Smack your lips.
and it's true, that BIPOC voices aren't really represented that well. So it was sort of, this convention, it sort of rode that wave and came to be. I truly think that in the beginning, this person Mac and Cheese, it was sort of a tongue-in-cheek, haha, wouldn't it be cool, fam, if we had this event? But once they saw the amount of interest, plus the donations, that's the big thing. They got a lot of donations for that stream that they did.
Yeah.
Once they saw that, I think it popped into their head that, oh shit, we have a chance to do something good and something great, let's do it. Let's just say if George Floyd never happened, Black Lives Matter never happened, I strongly doubt that this is even a thing, that we're even talking about this. We're probably talking about something else, because it is directly fueled by the Black Lives Matter movement and this idea that BIPOC voices want to have a role and want to hear their voices heard.
So the term movement always makes me think of like bowel movement. It's kind of interesting because it might be the same thing.
What?
Bowel movements.
Oh my God, no.
No. We're talking not that.
Oh. Oh, okay. Continue.
Well, why I say that I believe that that this was already pre-decided before they started actually making tweets about it is because a lot of the details that they had about this were pretty much on the dot matching with the location. And this location, it's very unique to Maryland. It's very unique to Maryland, and with the camping facilities, the amenities, it's not a random choice for them to just pick this place out of all the others. No, they actually, I think they did their homework. They actually found this place. They started talking with the owners of the site, and they finalized the deal. Then they started making the arrangements to get the word out on social media, because I feel it's not an accident. It's not by complete accident that the site that they found is exactly what they were describing before they released the details. It is not by accident whatsoever. Now, another interesting tidbit about Camp Ramblewood is that it has a very strict no judgment stance. So throughout their history, they have hosted a wide array of events, everything from a sex camp, Dark Odyssey is called, all the way up to a white supremacy convention.
Allegedly, but yeah.
Well, yeah, allegedly, but this is kind of what you see it when it comes to taking tolerance to its logical extreme. Like when they say no judgment, they actually mean no, we're not judging anything you do. And that also goes to their attire policy, which is actually clothing optional. So this is a clothing optional camp. It's privately owned. It's secluded. It's quite a ways out, a little bit, about 15 minutes from the nearest highway. So it's not like somebody can just drive by and see a bunch of, naked furries or naked whoever doing whatever on
Well, I mean,
site.
technically, you would still be in a fursuit without being in a fursuit, Lefty.
What are you talking about?
You're a Wookiee.
Okay, we're editing that out. That's not something I want shared.
Okay, it'll be edited out.
So anyway, further details from their website, it states that being a clothing optional camp sets Ramblewood apart from other places that do not offer this very unique and freeing opportunity. You can go swimming nude, hike or sunbathe, all natural, and enjoy the freedom of our liberated 200 acres. Just remember to bring lots of sunblock. Be aware that nudity is not the same as sexuality. It must not be confused with an invitation for sex, nor as a license for sexual harassment of any kind. In addition, absolutely no photography of any kind is allowed without the prior consent of all parties in the shot.
You think furries are going to follow that rule? Hell no.
Well, see, this is a concern that will have to be addressed by the organizers, because the staff at Ramblewood, they won't address or they won't enforce any clothing or any clothing rules.
I can tell you this: nobody's going to enforce shit.
No,
It's
they're
going to be a
not going
fucking
to.
free for all.
They're not going to enforce, like the Ramblewood staff. They're not going to enforce that you wear anything. That's the thing. And if they're going to create this all ages convention that's supposed to be safe for people of all ages, they will want to have a code of conduct that actually explicitly states no nudity. Because I don't know how many of our listeners are parents, but hypothetically, if I was a parent and I had a child and I was going somewhere, anywhere that was an all ages event, the last thing I would ever want to see is my kid looking at some rando who is butt naked. And then on the drive home, I get that random ass question, Daddy, what was that between the man's legs?
Can you
Oh, hell no.
Can you say that again in the same voice,
No.
please?
No.
Lefty,
No.
I need you to do it.
No.
Lefty, please.
No, stop.
Just do it.
No.
Man, you fucking suck.
And And of course, the last thing as a parent that I would want for my kid is for some buck naked rando to be staring at my kid.
Well, it's a good thing you're not a parent right now.
That is not the point I'm trying to make.
Oh.
So what I'm saying is, I'm sure people are going to look at the clothing optional policy of Ramawood, and they'll say, "You're not actually going to be a clothing optional convention," because I know that we all want to feel. I know we all want to feel like we're body positive, but a lot of people don't quite feel body positive, especially when they're out naked. So I mean, I'm just saying, I'm waiting for somebody to clarify on this, because I can already see it now. People are going to complain if they say that it's going to be clothing optional.
Yeah, they are. But I think that, and I would hope that this convention, since they're trying to be an all ages and inclusive convention, they realize that they have to they cannot make this a clothing optional convention, because that
Yeah.
will make it effectively an 18+ convention right then and there.
See,
Oh, yeah.
this is stupid. They're gonna complain no matter what fucking choice they make. They're gonna complain if they don't make it a fucking clothing optional fucking convention, and they're gonna complain if they do
Yeah,
or whatever.
people are looking
So,
Well, I think
What
they're
at-
going to be louder I think they're going to complain a lot louder if they turn it into a clothing optional convention, because, like Sarah said,
I don't know. I think so.
it can't be any louder than Psylocke is right now.
I think that if they go the route of clothing optional, I actually think they'll get less angry emails. I think because of just how the fandom actually is, and there's this desire to have adult-only spaces within this fandom, I think that they would get less angry emails if they went that way, if they went that route. I mean, and the reason I say this is, you have 18+ conventions starting next year in Las Vegas, and in Austin, you're gonna have like this burlesque theme show. So it's like you have all these, not safe for work furry conventions starting up, and so clearly there's this desire to have an adults only place where you can be a little more risque, wear your pup gear in the lobby or rubber latex,
well,
whatever. So I think if they enforced a clothing optional event, one, that would be highly controversial and something that's never been seen before. But also, I think they would get a lot more support than we would expect them to, than we think they will.
well, here's my take, and it's a little controversial because I'm a little bit cynical about this. Like, we have 18+ spaces at conventions already. Like many of the larger conventions, especially MFF, which is the largest furry convention in the world, they have a dealer's room that caters to 18+ gear. They have 18 and up panel rooms. They have 18 and up meetup spaces. They have all these things that are, for adults, and it allows adults to be more relaxed and, kick back, relax, and talk about dick jokes without actually offending anybody or being too vulgar.
Yeah.
We are now just starting to have conventions that are completely 18+, where everybody's an adult, everybody is consenting, and everybody can kick back and relax and not have to hide their pup gear or hide their fetishes or hide their dildos or whatever. They can walk around and, it's not out of place.
It's not, but
now here's the big but. How many more spaces, how many more 18+ spaces do we actually need to actually satisfy the furry community?
more
Oh,
than you think.
And
You
that
see
brings
how
me.
sexual this fandom is with
I
their
know,
movies.
I know,
Like, come on, man.
I know. But if they want, but they're sending a very mixed message when they say that this is all ages, and also clothing optional. Like I'm sure most parents, even most furry parents, would agree that their 4-year-old doesn't need to be seeing the shrinky dink of a 30-year-old man.
Well, see, here's what I think they'll do. I think, given their clothing optional policy at this convention, what they'll end up doing, and probably is after a certain hour at night, like let's say 9 p.m. After that, it's probably going to be clothing optional because there shouldn't be any
Okay.
kids walking around. And you know what? If
Okay.
they want to do
Okay.
that,
That's fair. That's fair.
that's fine. My issue is if they do this, they need to be sure that they have a clear, understandable, and enforced policy of no sexual harassment or sexual assault. It can't be tolerated because
Mhm.
nudity does not equal consent.
Oh yeah.
As Ramblewood has stated, nudity does not equal consent. And
Yeah.
it's stupid and foolish to think that, well, people are going to follow the rules. And no, they don't. That's why rules exist. That's why people exist to enforce them, because we know people like to skirt the rules if they think they can get away with it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, at furry conventions, and this isn't really talked about a lot, there are a lot of sexual assaults that go on at furry conventions. It happens.
Yeah.
Most of them get reported for a lot of reasons.
I
So
mean, if all the call outs that happen on Twitter based on this furry actually sexually harassed me, or raped me at this convention 2 years ago, 3 years ago. If the number of call outs of that caliber that happen in the furry community is any indication,
Mhm.
then you're right. Yes, we need to actually strongly enforce the nudity is not consent for sex, and they need to have staff on site that will actively enforce that so that everybody's having a good time. Now, 200 acres, will they do that? That's to be decided, because 200 acres is a large area, and
It
they're going to need a massive group of volunteers to actually sign up to be, safety and security
well,
for this convention.
they got what, over 2 years.
Yeah,
to
they got 2 years to build it
arrange
up.
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
And
think they'll be
they've
fine.
already gained 11,000 followers on Twitter. So obviously, from that 11,000, you can certainly find a large army, a good enough army to actually serve for safety and security for this con.
So it's crazy. In the same vein, there is also a similar kind of outdoor convention starting up in Lake Tahoe, California. I think
Yes.
this year,
Yes.
and nobody even cares. I shouldn't
That
say
is
nobody
sad.
cares.
I
I
actually
shouldn't say
no,
nobody.
I actually saw
But
some tweets actually come onto my timeline about that convention, and you got to give it to them that they're actually starting from scratch, and they're getting things. The people that are starting this convention is called Keep Tahoe Furry. They're not poppy furs.
no, they're not.
They don't really have much of any clout, but God damn it, they will
And I
start
think,
something. They will start
I
something on the side of Lake Tahoe and make it great.
and I think also that what has happened that what propelled this from the start was that the people who arranged this are fairly well known, at least in the whole BIPOC circle. They're well known, and some
Yeah,
well known out of it. So that obviously helps. Like, say, if I start a convention, well, most people aren't gonna well, I shouldn't say that. A vast majority aren't gonna give a fuck. But let's say someone way more popular than me, like Pilot G-Shep, were to start one, more people will give a fuck because it's Pilot. So I think, I don't mean to say that nobody cares about the Lake Tahoe thing. It just seems like it's the same kind of situation about what they're trying to do, but it got overlooked a lot.
Yeah. It actually did get overlooked among all the hype for Harvest Moon Howlfest, but I'll be keeping an eye on both because I'm curious just how both events actually shape up. Um,
And
so
actually,
there's yet to be any details to emerge about what Keep Tahoe Furry will actually, or when Keep Tahoe Furry will actually take place. But it does say in their pinned tweet that there are future furry convention in snowy Lake Tahoe. There are not enough conventions that are outdoor snow friendly for furries. We plan to change that. That's actually very ambitious in and of itself.
hey,
Because
we're doing the same thing.
yeah.
2
Well,
years from now, well, yeah, 2 years from now, we're doing the exact same kind of concept, but on a much smaller scale. So, see, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people when they go when they think about wintertime and furry, they're only thinking about one thing, and that's MFF. They usually go all out so that they can go and just throw a big end of the year party at MFF, and then it quiets down until the next year. Then they start all over again with MagFest, and it just
Oh, and New Year's.
snowball from there. Yeah, New Year's Furry Ball. But yeah, it MFF is like the end of the wave of furry cons, and then it slowly crests back up once the new year breaks.
Yeah, and
So
if you
I
had,
don't know when exactly they're planning to host this, but like I said, stay tuned. We're going to give you more details. And we love to actually give shout outs to these new conventions, Harvest Moon Howlfest and Keep Tahoe Furry. I really hope to hear more about them later.
and
Mhm.
a new East Coast mini convention coming in January 2022. Also, at a ski venue somewhere along in the Mid-Atlantic region, Frozen Fur Ski Adventure. Look out for that.
Oh yes, wonderful.
Look out for that. I don't mean to toot my own horn. I don't want to come across as doing that, but it's something that
Yeah.
Maryland Furs is putting together, and
Mhm.
um, hopefully we'll have this all going by January 2022. We were supposed to do it next year, but coronavirus unfortunately hit. So we're gonna come back and have a great year, our first year, January 2022. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's great, and
Wonderful.
that we're seeing all these new, smaller, regional, local conventions pop up. And actually, there's a point I want to get to about the kinds of conventions that I think are the future of the fandom. There are two of them, but
Mhm. Go
I
ahead.
think that's a good segue point to our next topic, which was
Yeah.
actually conventions. And before I get to that, I just want to congratulate our Hunger Games champion of FurryCons. Congratulations to our champion, um, BLFC, Biggest Little Fur Con. They outlasted every single U.S. space convention. The keyword is U.S. space. I'm not talking about outside the U.S. But
Mhm.
Biggest Little Fur Con has officially won our Furry Hunger Game tournament. They were the last convention remaining to officially cancel last week. So
Oh
props
shit.
to them. Way to go. You all ran out the clock. Almost. You did good. You did good.
Well, BLFC is unique in which they first they first postponed their event for later in the year, thinking, oh, this will all clear up by what, September, October?
Yeah, it was scheduled to be during Halloween weekend.
Yeah. And when shit actually hit the fan twice, they were in a dilemma because as other conventions were beginning to also cancel, they were the last one standing. They were the last holdout. And nobody actually knew whether they would be required to host their event anyway with no attendees, because nobody would be going to BLFC
Well,
thanks to what, a governor's order.
Well, apparently the rumor was that Arizona hadn't really locked down the state.
Arizona. Hold up.
Excuse me.
BLT is Nevada.
I'm sorry. The rumor was Nevada, and I don't know what Governor Sisolak did with in regards to locking down and with capping event capacity, and how large events could be. But there was a rumor that due to their contract stipulation with the Golden Sierra Resort Casino, I believe that's what it's called. They might have had to have held the convention regardless, and that they couldn't get out of their contract because of how their contract was set up. And of course, that was the prevailing rumor. It was explained as to why they were taking so long to just cancel, because it made no sense that you had MFF, which came later in the year. You also had Further Confusion, which is in 2021 cancel. So people were like, okay, what's the holdup? Are they actually going to host this without people, or even like at the very least 100 people showing up, maybe 10 or less being allowed to show up? So it was very weird. But I guess in the end, they were allowed to break their contract and they rescheduled for 2021. I don't know if they had to pay like a penalty or anything about that. I couldn't tell you. I don't know how their contract is set up, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I don't
would
either.
have been very. I don't know how it would have felt if this convention would have went off. On one hand, it's kind of a moral gray area in a sense. Yes, they would have had to have held it against their will. And I don't know what the numbers are in Nevada. It may have been a good area in Reno. Again, I don't know the numbers. I'm guessing but at the same time, hosting a furry convention during a pandemic is not smart. Even if you mandate that, okay, you can only have less than 10 people in a space. Well, that's 9 people too large. So they were fucked either way. Either they get screwed by not having a convention and they have less money in the bank, or they have a convention, only 9 people show up, and financially they're also screwed and have a bad reputation as the only convention that happened during a during a pandemic. So they were kind of fucked either way. At least with this way, they can kind of save face and focus on next year. They're doing the correct thing by giving people the option to refund their money in full, not partially, like what's that convention? FWA has done.
Oh, FWA, yeah.
Which was partial refunds. They're doing full refunds. They're doing automatic rollovers for 2021. You can also donate your reservation, I believe, to a charity as well. So by and large, conventions have gone about it, with the exception of FWA, have gone about it the correct way this year in terms of giving refunds, rolling over rolling over registrations for next year, and of course canceling, which I think is great. Now, I will say that for many, they had no choice. If this was, let's say, this pandemic had been, and this is an alternate universe, this pandemic had been, the numbers would have gotten to the point of, Western Europe, like France or Germany, and you would have asked me, hey, should we still have furry conventions? Everything is fine, the numbers are stable or decreasing. Then I think you would have seen just the motive of some people. And when I say that, I say this. In this country, we've had to have this debate about whether, profits matter over people during the whole coronavirus. People have been eager to get back to work and jumpstart the economy at the risk of killing people. It is what it is. Let's be honest, call a spade a spade. So if we apply that to furry conventions, and we know how most of them are nonprofit, but still have to draw some kind of income to pay off any contract for this year, and of course our for-profit conventions, the ones run by Corgi Events and FAU, who do have to draw a profit and pay taxes, I think you would see just how do I say this? Just how greedy some people are. And I say that to say this. Given what we've seen by some people claiming that they are willing to die to make this economy work in the midst of thousands and thousands of people dying, I think you would see the exact same thing if we had gotten this pandemic under control and we were at levels comparable to that of Western Europe. Even if we were, it's still not safe to be in a con with what 6, 7, 8, 900, 1,000 people. It's not safe, even at the tail end of a pandemic. So I think you would actually see conventions still going on. AC, I don't know. I like to think that AC has Uncle Kage and that board is not dumb. They know they wouldn't allow that, but some of your smaller conventions, yeah, you would see them go on at the risk of spreading COVID. They need the money. Let's be honest. These small conventions need the money. So I think that they would have gone on. I'll even say now, MFF would have gone on because it's MFF.
MFF.
They would have. I mean, think about it. If AC doesn't happen, well, they want to. They're going to.
I'm pretty sure that you can go into the boardroom of MFF and set a celery stick on the floor, and the celery stick would have more brain cells than the MFF boardroom.
I mean, you're not wrong, given how they've.
Like I've seen so many stupid decisions come up from MFF staff and leadership that it's just
that would be one of them.
Makes my head spin sometimes.
That would have been one of them.
Bombs.
Like I said, you could just stick a celery stick in the room where MFF leadership is meeting, and the celery stick would have more brain cells.
Yeah, and they probably would have fucked up registration too. like even if you capped it at 1,000 people that year, they would have found some way to fuck that up as well. And it's like how
they would actually take the celery stick and wave it, and it's like I'm open. I can help someone. Follow the celery stick.
No, that's what they're gonna use to pat down for weapon searches for each person.
Oh, wonderful!
They're gonna just take it's a metal detector, you just take it, and if it turns.
Well, we have metal detectors nowadays. Metal detectors there's nothing bad about metal detectors. What's wrong with using that?
This is non-invasive. Instead of beeping at you and making a harsh noise, it just goes celery if it finds something.
Oh, yeah, find those. But no, I truly think that we would have seen, just how greedy some people are if, the numbers were at European levels, and some of these conventions would have gone on, even though, again, it's not safe. Even if we're at the end of a pandemic and the risk is still there, you'll see people do that.
Yeah.
Long fucking story short, because I fell asleep during this. Actually, I'm that serious.
Wow.
Long fucking story short, stay your ass home. There's no sense for your ratchet ass going out there and trying to go to a fucking convention whenever it is deadly out there to be outside.
Thank you.
Okay? You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to see anyone. You don't need to fucking visit anyone. You're not that fucking special. Nobody misses you that much. Stay home and stay alive. And don't kill everyone else just because you're a horny fucking cunt and you can't keep your dick in your pants and you can't keep your fucking butt cheeks closed. It doesn't matter how fucking bad you need it. People need to stay the fuck away from you that much more.
Damn. No, and you see furries on Twitter, and I'm not going to mention them, and they're on their ADs posting, well, me and my significant other, we went to the beach to have fun and hang out. Oh, I hung out with some friends, all 7 of us at a mountain resort. I'm not naming names. That's not safe. And of course, this is kind of hypocritical coming from me, because I'll be the first one to admit I have broken quarantine to go out and hang out with people. Of course, it's always been in groups less than 10. And
You still broke it no matter which way you fucking see.
And I'm willing to admit that. But at the same time, I have practiced social distancing and worn a mask. You're supposed to do that.
God, we're all practicing social distancing. It's like We're practicing for something that we'll never have to fucking do because nobody does it anyway. Practice, people. Practice makes fucking perfect, right? If you do it every day, it becomes that much easier to do.
You know who social
No,
distances? Weebs.
nobody.
Weebs do, because nobody likes weebs. They sit in their basement all day and jack
That's
off.
precisely what all three of
No,
us
no,
are.
no, 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 no,
No,
no, no.
I'm not a weeb.
Yeah,
That's
you
not-
are.
No, you forget that there is a state in the union that actually practices social distancing long before coronavirus even happened.
Hawaii.
No, Wyoming.
Oh, no one.
You ever been to Wyoming? Every house is like 50 miles away.
Well, no one lives there.
No,
Well,
I
that's the
think you're
point.
also.
It's so sparsely populated in Wyoming that social distancing isn't just something you do for a coronavirus. No, it's a way of life.
Dick
I
shit.
thought that was New Jersey.
No.
Ew, no.
That's like the most densely packed state in the union. Are you serious? No.
Well, I mean, between each live person, there's usually one dead body, so there's at least 6 feet there.
Ooh, okay.
Oh.
Don't talk about Jimmy Hoffa like that. All right. Rest in peace, Jimmy. We're gonna
Rest in
find you
peace, Jimmy.
soon. But back to what I was gonna bring up. Harvest Moon Howlfest and this Keep Tahoe furry event and Frozen Fur Ski Adventure, and its predecessor, I think it was OklahomaCon or OklaCon, that outdoor
Mhm.
camping event that got shut down. Things like that. That's the future of furry conventions in this country. So it's much cheaper
But Gav,
to rent out a campground. It's much cheaper to rent out rooms at a ski facility than it is to rent out a full-blown convention center or deal with a hotel and rent out their convention facilities.
I mean,
Is the future of furry cons. And I'll say one more. These virtual conventions that just popped up this year because, we can't go anywhere, those are also the future. VR chat, I guarantee you, that's going to become inherently furry the way Telegram has. In the next it's going to. Next 1 to 3 years, it will be populated by mostly furries. That is the
just
future.
like Telegram is right now.
Yeah, that's the future. Because
But-
these virtual chats, these virtual conventions are so successful and they're well attended.
Mhm.
They just had, what was it, Nonstop PupCon or whatever it was called, Nonstop World or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Held by a furry. That was very well attended. Like stuff like
Yeah.
that is the future. I'm not saying, our traditional conventions are all going to die out, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, as an alternative to the traditional convention model, going through ski resorts and parks and campgrounds and online, that's where it's going to be at.
Well, I disagree
Okay.
because I do feel like furries, whenever they get into fursuit, they want the luxury and they want the hospitality that can only come from one place, a hotel. And having the entire event happening outdoors brings up a lot of limitations. One, you're not going to have something anywhere close to what a hotel is like. You're not going to have something like freshly furnished rooms with, nice linens and stuff. No, your room is your tent. Whatever you bring is what you have. Nothing more, nothing less. Second of all, weather. We have to talk about the weather because a lot of these events, while they might be hosted rain or shine, you got to admit that the weather is going to affect how people enjoy the event as compared to any other furry convention. Because, see, Anthrocon happens rain or shine, but it happens indoors. So if it starts pouring down in the middle of the street, it doesn't matter because the convention is still happening in the building. The convention is still happening in the Westin. It's still happening at the David O. Lawrence Center.
Mhm.
It's still happening, and it doesn't diminish the enjoyment that people get. Not that much.
I'm gonna
Compared
start
to
a
having-
furry convention here in Richmond. We have a convention center in downtown Richmond, It's
Ew.
called the Greater Richmond Convention Center, and it has convention space. But you know what it also has?
What?
A very scarce amount of hotels. So
Mhm.
so instead of staying in the hotels, do you know where the furries are gonna stay?
Where?
In the parking garage. I'll set up cots.
That sounds like a Fire Fest, club.
No. There was an actual anime convention that I read about that was like the worst anime convention of all time. I got to look it up, but eventually they had their artist alley in the parking deck.
Oh my god.
Let me see if I can look up.
Back up.
But
Oh no.
but going back to the weather, if you have rain or severe weather,
Gay.
just tearing up the tents and making it miserable for everyone that's in attendance.
Anal.
Will you shut up? Then everybody's going to hate it, and not many people are going to want to come back to it next year. Only the diehard fans of this convention are going to want to come back next year because they're going to be like, "Fuck this," especially
fuck
in
you.
the summer. No, I want to talk to you,
Oh.
especially in the summer where it's going to be like 100 degrees out. Holy hell! Like especially this summer. This summer was a miserable nightmare of a summer.
Well,
Like, there were 100-degree weather everywhere.
well, that's what climate change is gonna do. It's gonna make it hotter. So
Oh yeah, do tell. Come on, Professor. Fucking
Oh.
enlighten us.
no, I'm not. No,
Professor,
no.
teach us more about the hot weather.
You know what? No. But
Teach me,
no,
Daddy.
I think, like I said, I just think that is the future, and I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying those conventions are going to be replaced by all this, but we're going to see a lot more of them going forward.
Yeah, and
However,
I agree.
I do think that we are at critical mass in terms of furry conventions. There are conventions that were supposed to be started that I had no idea even existed. Like, there were 2 in North Carolina alone this year that were going to have their first year. I'm just like, that state already has one in Asheville. They were going to have one in
Assville?
no, Asheville.
Assville.
The other one was in Durham, North Carolina, and I forgot where the other one was going to be.
Oh, that's where the dog fucker lives.
Yeah. So, like, why does North Carolina need 3 furry conventions? I don't get that.
Well, why are there so many dog fuckers in fucking Durham? Is my question.
I would.
Shout out to Vinny Dog. Fucking
Okay, we need to move on from that.
But,
why? He
No,
needs to be fucking put up against a wall.
well, we already have an episode for that.
Yeah.
I'll post it.
We're not going to be like dragging the shit on and on and on for like 2 or 3 episodes.
Yes, boss.
But no, I think that there are a lot of newer furry conventions starting up that I had never heard of, and I think we're getting to a point where there's a lot of saturation. Now, if this was like not West Virginia, if this was Wyoming or North Dakota or Alaska or Hawaii, I wouldn't care because they're not served by furry conventions. This is North Carolina. They are close to the lot. They can take the ass to FWA or fucking FAU if they want to, right? Why do they need 3? That's weird. I don't get that.
Well, sometimes you just have furries that are way, way, way over ambitious. They think they can run it. They think that they can run a convention or start one on a shoestring budget or whatever, and people will come. They have this thought in their head. This thought that they're like Kevin Costner in Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. No. Let me just pop that bubble right now. Conventions are not something that if you build it, they will come. Not necessarily. In rare cases, yes, but that's not the norm.
Well, Halloween Fur Fest might be the rare exception to that.
Exactly. It's a rare exception. But you know why? Because it started by a group of furries who are already very well known and have a huge following in the fandom anyway. So they were able to spread the word out to their followers, and their followers just spread it like wildfire. They have an army behind them that can propagate info about any little thing they're doing quickly. Most furries don't have that.
But no, I think that you know, going forward, conventions are going to be a lot different post COVID-19, and I would hope that we see a more manageable amount, and that people don't follow the path that a certain infamous Pennsylvania fur has and try and make a fur con in 9 months. And though, yes, to be fair as fuck, he was very successful. However, things went bad behind the scenes. I hope people don't think that just because everything went nice in 9 months that they can replicate that. And I think a few people have seen that. And that's why you've seen the idea of, oh, let's start a furry con in West Virginia or one in New Jersey, which, to be fair, that's okay because New York City doesn't have a furry con, which I've never understood.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of incest in West Virginia. They start one up that way.
Well, the person who's starting it looks like an incest person. Looks like an incest baby anyway.
Oh boy.
They must be from odd West Virginia.
I think he's from Percival. Oh wait, no, that's where Chris Chan. Anyway, I don't want to invoke his name either. Christine, excuse me. The point is, if people are going to start furry conventions, wait 2 years, 3 years, to do them. Don't do them in 9 months, guys. Come on. There's enough conventions as is. Like I said, unless you live in Wyoming or North Dakota or, God forbid, Utah. Well, we have a furry con in Utah, but yeah, unless you live in like a sparsely populated place with no access to a furry convention, there's no need to start one. There's no need for 3 furry conventions in North Carolina. That serves nobody. Seriously. You're going to dilute the talent, the convention pool. Like, what the fuck? It's dumb.
Well, it's not like dilute. It's literally making it not as special. It's introducing too much of one thing into an already congested. It's like a great example is looking at the trucking industry. There's so many trucking companies, but there's not enough cargo. So you've got all these fucking truckers that are literally overwhelmed, and you've got nothing moving. So that's the problem. If you look at it this way, you've got all these fucking furries, okay, but way too many conventions. Some of them overlap. So you've got furries that are, putting up double vacations, trying to hit 2 conventions in one go, literally back to back, and it loses its flair. You end up going to a convention, say Anthrocon, and then 2 days later you're at let's name one, but I don't know one that comes right after Anthrocon because I don't really give a shit.
Eurofurns.
Sure, why not? You got somebody that fucking takes a plane all over to fucking Germany, like 2 days after Anthrocon. Okay, good for you. I'm glad that you have the stamina to fucking do that and the money too. But I mean, if you enjoy that shit, cool, whatever. That's on you. But at the same time, it gets old. You got so much going on, and it becomes more of a chore than it is a vacation. Because most people want to go to conventions to experience the convention, especially people who are new to conventions in the first place. They have this fucking belief that they have to smash as many panels in the short time that they're given, typically 2 to 3 days of convention time. So you've got a buttload of panels that go on through the day. Each day has hundreds of panels. And you're only able to really see, if you're lucky, if you're like me, probably 5 before you get bored of just sitting and listening to somebody, drone on and on like you do in this podcast. But the thing is when you have all this selection, It's like going to a Chinese restaurant. When you look at their fucking menu, it's overwhelming. There's just so much going on. You can't make up your mind, and it gets on your last fucking nerve because you know you're hungry. You know you want to eat something. You just don't know what the fuck it is because you can't make up your mind because there's so much there. That's exactly what it is. And it makes me angry because I go to conventions specifically for one thing, and that's to meet up with friends I haven't seen in a long, long time. I'm very pissed off that fucking Anthicon didn't happen this year because it's some stupid fuck in China decides he wants to release a goddamn bug worldwide. So yeah, I didn't get to see my lifelong friends that I've known since I was born. You know, sometimes I wish the world was on fire because it's an unjust world. But, you know, if that happened, then my friends would go in flames too. And I don't want that to happen because I like my friends. But you see, what I'm saying is that there's way too much going on. People who are thinking, oh yeah, we need to start a convention for that. Just because you have a fucking idea does not mean you have to act on it. Have your idea silently. Make yourself happy.
Ah, God, no, I was gonna say, to relate to that real quick, I made the choice last year. I was gonna do New Year's Furry Ball and then go to CCFC. God, I was away from home for almost a week, honestly, doing back-to-back conventions, and I will be the first one to tell you all, that's not fun. That's a chore, and it sucks. It sucks your money dry, and after a while, you start hating yourself for it. And you start wondering, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ, when am I
yeah.
going home? I missed
Stylox, don't
that.
ever do that.
Yeah, that's the first and last time I will ever do conventions back to back.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was too much of a chore.
actually, my first furry convention was FWA, and that sucked. And then the weekend after that, I went straight to Furthermore in Tyson's Corner, and that was also back when I was living in Virginia Beach. Folks, I don't care what you think, what you do. If you want to get into furry convention, start local. Don't go on to these large and massive events happening way out in the other side of the country or some other country. Like, don't think of Eurofurence as your first event into the furry community. No, it's going to get overwhelming, and it's going to really, really sour your experience when things just go belly up at this convention. So definitely start small, start local, and don't go too crazy about traveling too far for a furry con. I guarantee you that the convention will be back next year. If it's already passed, it'll be there next year. And just wait. And there will be one near you that will happen. Like we were talking about, the furry con scene is getting oversaturated, so there's a good chance that there's gonna be one near you anyway. So just wait for it and just get acclimated to furry convention attendance that way, because you don't want to be like me and start a like a 5-6 hour drive from Virginia Beach to Atlanta in the dead of night, losing your goddamn mind once you get to south of the border, and then having to spend the night at the travel center because south of the border is just that sketchy. But yeah, if it wasn't for Furthermore being the week after FWA, I would have probably said, you know what, fuck all this furry shit. I'm done. I'm not doing this shit no more. But yeah, I'm glad that I actually took that plunge and went to Furthermore anyway.
Yeah.
Because it actually kind of redeemed my experience from what I experienced at FWA. But with that said, it's time to end. Thank you very much for listening. And thank you, Silas and IBM, for adding in your insights. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, feel free to follow us at Furry Frequency. And feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to our videos on YouTube and hit that bell for notifications so that when we upload a new video, it'll be You'll receive a notification, and then just click it, and you'll be sent straight to the video. So, with that said, this is Furry Frequencies signing off with Lifty.
Silox.
IBM.
Thank you for joining us this evening, and you have a wonderful night.
Good night.
Good night, Jeff.
My
Good
name
night.
is Jeff.
Good night, Sweepy.